Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the podcast. I'm your co-host, M. Dave, and I'm here with my co-hosts, Crimson, Rio, Tom Brady, and our special guest and friend of the podcast. We have, I hope I say it right. Oh my goodness, always botch it.
Uh-oh.
Hold on. Wound Cowboy?
Wound
No.
Cowboy.
Dude.
No.
You got it
Dude,
right
But to be
last
fair,
time.
Dude,
Wound
what
Cowboy
is
does
this,
sound
man?
cool.
What is
Wound
this,
Cowboy does sound
man?
cool.
Wound Cowboy. Wound Cowboy. First of all, by the way, congratulations to Wound Cowboy for getting top eight.
Thank
What is
you.
it? A week and a half ago on the
NA West.
NA West. Thank you on the NA West tournament.
Hey.
Doing it with Shang Tsung, like what, 12 years later? Is
Right?
it 12? Yeah, 12 years later.
Something like that.
Yeah, that's right. Did it in he did it in Mortal Kombat 9, and he's doing it with
hmm
Shang Tsung in
hmm
MK11.
Yeah, it would be
I
8 years
don't,
later, not 12.
oh, thank you. Thank you.
Whatever.
8 years. Yeah, whatever. I don't care, like,
20.
it's kind
Yeah.
Dave, you're a teacher.
Hey, he teaches Spanish, not
that's
math.
right. No,
That's true. That's true. That's
that's right.
true.
That's right. I'm not good at math. So, but anyway, the point is, congratulations, man, on getting
Thank
the
you.
top eight and doing very well. We're always happy to see a player of our generation performing well.
Yeah.
So, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
So, I'm gonna let Tom speak on the central topic of the podcast. We're gonna go. I know it might be dangerous. We're gonna let Tom go on a soliloquy here for a moment. Talk about like 3-4 minutes about something important, and then we'll each comment on the topic at hand. Tom, the floor is yours, my friend.
Okay, thank you. All right, so listen. A lot of people love Mortal Kombat. Um, some people MK11 was their first one, and they fell in love with the game, and they'll probably stay with the franchise forever. It's just one of those games that once you love it, you follow it, you play the next one and the next one and the next one. It's one of the greatest fighting game franchises of all time. And I've given 30 years almost of my life to Mortal Kombat. I loved it that much. And with MK11, there's never been a game that I try to motivate myself to get to play every day. I'm going to play it today for sure. I'm going to turn it on. And it's hard to know why the game is good. It's obviously a fun game. A lot of people enjoy it. But I mean, I just find myself wanting to love it, looking for that motivation. And it's really hard. I think one of the things that bothers me about it is you have such a great game that's placed in front of you, and I love the customs that they gave us. That was an awesome addition to the game. I think it's helped the game grow tremendously. But I don't understand why, still all these years later, everything is done so half-assed. And I know COVID, they can't get to everything at once. I know it's not even fair to kind of put them, in like, how can this wouldn't happen normally, but they're not in the studio. They're doing everything from home. I know everything's backed up, everything's delayed. But you open the game up to customs, and you've worked so hard to try to achieve balance at the expense of a lot of stuff, making it universal meter building. Everybody gets up the same. Everybody builds meter the same. Everything's the same. Okay, we get it, man. You're looking for balance. And then you open up customs and you're like, hey, this useless move here, 2 slots. Oh, this is one of the best moves in the game? 1. I don't understand why, when you're trying to balance a game, you enforce such strict restrictions on characters who are nowhere near the top 5, and then give top 5 characters immense freedom. And it just baffles me. It seems like they're still micromanaging the game where they say, you, do whatever the fuck you want. You, no, you can't do this, can't do that. That has to conflict. That's banned. That's 2 slots, so you can't do that with that. And I feel like sometimes they micromanage us. Like they're trying to protect us from these horrible broken things. Just the bans on the moves, the way the game is slotted, it just doesn't make any sense. it's there's the way the moves are done has nothing to do with balance. It's just very much like we made these moves a year and a half ago, and we said we'll get we're gonna go with set variations. We're not gonna go with customs. And then in a year and a half, you never went back to look at them again. I don't know it, and that kind of stuff. It's just like when I see Nerf Jackie, Nerf Cetrion. The reason why we're so miserable was because they gave us what we wanted. They gave us a crap ton of nerfed, watered down characters, and we were like, free us, free us. And then they free us, and instead of wanting more freedom, hey, some of these 2-slot moves are useless. And no one's gonna like Katana's a Denny and Fade. Not that it's useless and not there might be some way to use it, right? It almost comes down to efficiency. There might be some cool way to use something that nobody would put in a variation, but not at the cost of 2 slots. No one's even gonna try. It, it's almost like you turned a fighting game into an ARPG where it's like, no, it's not efficient to equip that because of this. You just remove I don't know. It puts such a clamp on it because people are now still on the nerf this, nerf that, when in reality, we should be saying, hey, we need to go back. You need to revisit some of this stuff. You need to, thank you for the freedom you gave us, but stop micromanaging us. Look, I understand people are always going to complain. There are people out there, to quote Tweety, who, even if when they pick their character, the round starts, round one fight, the other guy's character explodes and you win automatically, they'll still somehow tell you it's a 6-4 match in their favor. Right? Like I understand that's how the community is. It's a community based on complaining, based on never being happy. It's almost like people are the most happiest when they have something to be unhappy and miserable about. Like they don't know how to appreciate something good. But really, I wish they would just not listen to those fucking people. If you're going to open up customs, open it up, right? Give us incentive to try to be a little more original out of the box. Don't penalize characters for wanting to be more oriented by saying, guess what? If you're going to use this worthless shit move, but it might have some use, we're going to make that so costly you don't even want to try to use it. What's the point of that? And yet you literally give some characters complete freedom of whatever the fuck they want to do, which is fine. But I don't understand why they don't go back and revisit it and apply that again. It just doesn't make any sense. I find it killing a lot of my motivation. That wow, I want to experiment, I want to do this, but so many of the custom moves are like it's not efficient to try to find something to do with that because even if you could find something good, it's not going to be good enough to be worth those 2 slots. And it comes instead of skill versus skill, just in picking the most efficient build based on skill slots is whatever. And the slots are completely imbalanced. You have a custom system in a game that is very balanced, and the custom system is completely imbalanced. And the answer is not nerf a bunch of stuff. It's go back and revisit it and slot these moves properly. I understand some moves you weren't sure 2 years ago how good they were going to be. You should know now, and they need to be revisited. An unbanned ground puddle. That's all I have to say.
Well, let's cover. You're the guest. Comment on Tom's rant about customs, about slot system. Anything you want to comment on? Go ahead.
I mean, yeah, I would definitely say there's some puzzling choices made, right, in terms of something being 1 slot. I'm known to hate this character, but like Fujin, why is the Skywalker 1 slot? That shit is so powerful. It gives you so much. There's just a whole host of them you could argue with. What else? Like Gearus has a bunch of moves that are just 1 slot.
Bionic Bound is one of the top.
Bionic Bound.
It's 1 slot.
Bionic
Bound.
Bound.
Which is fine. Let it be 1 slot. But then Katana's a Denny and Fade. Even if you found a way to use it, it's not worth the 2 slots.
No, I feel like that about I think they definitely need to revisit for sure.
But then
There's
it
no
becomes
doubt.
more like an ARPG, right? Where you're more about efficiency as opposed to skill. Well, I would use this, but I have to lose too much. And that's giving freedom here and still being very restrictive here. Just how I felt about it.
I mean, I do think it's interesting to have to strategize. Actually, the problem that I find is they're just moves that why would you ever go without it, right? Like, why would Sindel ever not just have like the low screamer? I mean, there's a whole host of examples like that. Liu Kang with a low fireball. Then you get to just choose, the grab or the teleport or whatever. That would be my criticism is that it usually just ends up with just like one or two moves that it's not as interesting as it could be because of that. But yeah, I mean, I think they can definitely revisit. I don't know that I'd say it feels like it's in a terrible place, but like definitely some work could be done.
What about the fact that I'm going to give up the question to Rio and then I'm going to have everybody respond as well? That I guess the issue is that like the top 5 or 6 characters, and I think we kind of know who they are right now just based on watching tournaments, they kind of already have their ultimate variation and they don't have to give up anything.
Right.
Jackie's
true.
gonna equip Bionic, the Bionic bounce and the grenade, which is the dot projectile damage. And that's what literally I think 90% all of them use. You may see some other variations, but for the most part, and that kind of covers all her matchups. That's all you need. Same thing with Fujin, with the Skywalker. They equip needle and sometimes they equip the wind push if you can punish the needle. And then the whatever the aerial thing is. And that kind of does pretty much everything that you wanted to do in a matchup. Whereas if you're, I don't know, if you're Shao Kahn, you kind of struggle to pick any variations to any custom moves to begin with. Like the custom moves don't even give you that much to cover your weakness.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I'm with that.
to be fair to NRS, like for some characters, like it did a lot. Like Kolokan, Cat, there's your anti-zoning. You can equip. You don't have to equip the shitty beam. You don't have to equip the God Ray. You keep the good beam for the chip out, and it works itself out, right? But it seems like I do think before people like Rio and Crimson mispresent my views, I do think this is currently the most balanced fighting game out there. But the issue is it could be so much better if it were not for some of the issues that Tom Brady talked about just a couple of minutes ago. Cobb, I'm going to go back to you, then I'm going to let Crimson and Rio comment. Go ahead, Cowboy.
Wait, commenting on just you say it's the best balanced?
Just like in general, and if you want to comment on, again, if you want to go back and reiterate some stuff, feel free to do so.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely just say there's definitely. I think variations ended up helping the best characters more than it helped the lower characters.
Yeah, but I feel like it did that because even the move restriction, the slotting deters you from even looking for something. A great
Right.
example is Edenian Fade. I'm just throwing this fucking move out because right now it's considered worthless, right?
Yeah, it's a two. I know people are probably thinking just to explain to people like what the hell is Edenian? It's this worthless move. She goes up the air and she does certain stuff with katana. It's worth 2 slots, which is just hilarious, right? Because it's so useless.
It appears to be a useless move, right?
Yeah.
So, but maybe somebody might mess around with it and finds a use for it. But guess what? Nobody's ever going to do it because it's 2 slots. So it's not worth it to ever try it. You're having to give up too much. Whereas I don't have anything wrong with the top characters having what they have. I don't have any problem with the top characters not being as restricted. But it seems like when it comes to customs, the top characters have the least amount of restrictions put on them. You can equip this, 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 and this. It's one slot, one slot, one slot, default, default, default. And a lot of the other characters are, you can't do that, you can't do that. That's 2 slots, that's 2 slots, that's banned. Why? I mean, it just discourages like experimentation. I mean, there's nothing wrong with telling these characters, yeah, sure, equip whatever you want. 1 slot moves, fuck it, make them all 1 slot. Who cares, right? That's how the top characters are. Cool, I love that. That's awesome. More options, more fun, better game. I like it. But clearly, I mean, clearly there are some moves that are completely slotted wrong. And it deters that freedom that you're trying to give us. And MK11, it's like, I feel like they always do that. They say, here you go, we gave you the almost the greatest thing out there. Like, it's just very, very frustrating. And I hope they revisit it sooner rather than later.
Crimson, what are you thinking?
Honestly, I do not think this is worth ranting 20 minutes about, and I'll tell you why. I think the reason why is this wasn't. They haven't had the balance patch yet. That's not what this was. All right. In the past, everyone told them, "Look, stop trying to do too many things at once. Don't try to give us the Jesus patch where you rebalance the game, you change the general systems for the entire game at once. You make all these different tweaks to all these different things. Please don't do that. Slow it down, do one thing at a time." So, in my opinion, that's what this patch was. This wasn't the, okay, let's redo all the slots. Let's look at the balance. Let's rebalance all the characters. Let's buff the low tier. Let's do XYZ. This is not what that patch was. This patch was, before we do any of that stuff, first thing we want to do is just make sure there's nothing ridiculous. Then we're going to open up customs and we're going to see exactly what people do. Then once we see what people do, then we can go ahead and finish balancing the game. And I think that's exactly what we're going to see. All right. This was the first patch that opened up customs. What do they do in the patch immediately after?
Now, you think this is the point it's out then. See, I was coming from the point of view that this might be the balance as well for the next 7-8 months. And you're coming from, no, they just wanted to give everybody some time, kind of see where things are, and then they'll go back and reslot accordingly.
Yeah,
And
I mean, let's take a look at it. Right after the first patch, what did they do in the second patch? The patch that came immediately after. They removed the conflict. All right, already in the second patch, which to me seems like it's promising, right? Remember when people were like, "Oh, they're set in stone, like RoboCop will never have his flamethrower and command grab, and that's just gonna be how it is," right? Second patch, boom, conflict's gone. So the point that I'm making is, we should not assume this is set in stone. It's okay for people to say, make arguments for, like, listen, I think there should be one slot or two slots, but I don't think it's the end of the world. I feel like balance patches are coming. Slots will probably change. Things will be adjusted over time, and I do not feel like we have to worry too much about it yet.
Rio goes, let me just say this. The reason why I went on about it, was why I feel so strongly about it, I should say, is not because, like, oh my gosh, it's never going to get fixed, because it's a strong movement that is growing, more nerfs, right? We need more nerfs. More Jackie, my God, she needs to be nerfed even worse, more than ever now. Cetrion, man, they've never touched her. She needs to be nerfed for sure this time. They finally got to hit her with the hammer. Joker, Rio was pointing out a stream one time in which all you heard about is, why does Joker have this? Why can he do this? Why can he do that? And I'm like, man, are they actually going to take more? Are they going to put more restrictions? Just take, and here's what we'll do: we'll take characters that are really, really cool, have really cool designs, and just slap handcuffs on them like we have in a lot of the cast too. And I was like, it would be so much better if they would just say, hey, you know what? These moves are 2 slots. Why? Make them 1. It's more look at these moves and kind of balance that out. And I was just worried that they might eventually do a balance patch, and instead of really revisiting some of the moves and slot them properly and try to get rid of some conflicts if possible by doing some changes, or looking at some of the moves and saying, okay, we'll change it like this and then unban one move or another, be it Sindel, Terminator, Sub-Zero, etc. And if you really think that's going to happen, then yeah, I'm okay with that. And I think that just comes back down to communication. I feel like a lot of times we're in the dark forever, which is what makes people cry. Nerf Cetrion, nerf Jackie, take this, take that, take every day. It's take every day. This is busted, that is busted. And if this is the case, and you're right, I mean, sure, I have no problem with that, and I'm very excited for the game again, and I would be super excited. And it would certainly renew a lot of my motivation. But I just wish, again, communication. It's not 1995. We don't want to hear about this in Game Informer a month before something happens. Just let us know what's going on.
Yeah, well, the point about communication I can definitely understand, but we already know why that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen because of the way that this community handled it early on. All right, before this game even came out, we got probably the most transparency we've ever gotten. Right? When has NRS been like, okay, this game's coming out in a few months, we might have this feature or we might not. Right? That never happens. Then this time they were like, let's do something different. You know what? We don't even know if we're gonna have customs in launch. So we're gonna tell everyone, hey, look, we're gonna show you this feature. It might be in competitive play, it might not. Ed says he's leaning toward it not being in the game, but we're gonna tell you guys anyway, full transparency. And what happened? It was like nonstop
It's hard.
mayhem.
It's
We're
hard
like,
to give players something and then take it back and say, "Hey, we told you we were going to take it." It's really hard once players get their hands on it to then lose it. That's usually
Tom,
a
but they
no-no game.
never had their hands on it. They said
Beta,
the
I mean.
day it was announced, this may be in competitive play or it might not. We don't know. We're letting you know.
But the
So
way that, again, that's entirely taken the context out of the equation. The way they've advertised the game from the very beginning is they didn't even talk about the tournament variations. They talked about Stephanie talked about, okay, this is the variation that I created. Look at what I can do. Why would you advertise the game in such a way unless you have custom moves, custom variations in mind? It seems entirely counterproductive.
I mean, what I mean is in the beta, I remember I was playing the preset variations, and I guess we'll let Rio go in and chime in here. And Rio hit me up. Rio was like, "What are you doing? What are you playing?" And I was like, "I'm playing this, this variation here." And Rio was like, "Dude, why aren't you using whatever?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about? These moves are in the variation." He goes, "Dog, everybody's doing custom variations." From the minute we played the beta, everybody, and I mean everybody, was playing customs. So my point is, you're not sure. There's no game out there in which you can release something, give players access to it for weeks and weeks and weeks, and then say, "Well, we told you we might take it, and we did." There, that's what caused the blow up, not because of the communication. You
Tom, the
can't give
beta was in
somebody
what,
something.
March? They were
There was
getting
two
blown
betas.
up.
There were two betas.
They were getting blown up in January, February. They were getting blown up every month until the game came out. We both know this, right?
But still,
So here's
and
my
there are
thing.
people that are going to blow you up
Here's
no
my
matter
thing.
what you do.
Yeah, but here's my thing. It's fair to be like, okay, look, don't tell us till you're sure. If that's what you want, then that's what's gonna happen. So that's the way they do things. That's why they're not gonna say, hey, we're thinking about maybe doing this or maybe changing these slots or whatever. They're not gonna say it. You're gonna figure it out when it happens, and that's how it's gonna be. But you can't have it both ways. That's my point. If you want them to not speak up till they're sure exactly what they're gonna do, then they won't say anything, and everyone should
By the
have
way,
to be okay with
my
that.
quote unquote ranting, that's just straight passion, man. Like I said, I played this game. I have played Mortal Kombat since October 8th, 1992. I put my first quarter in the machine, and the first name I heard was Sub-Zero. And I have played this game, this franchise, literally probably every single day from 1992 until today. And many people out there say they love something, but they wouldn't dedicate as much as their life to something that they claim they love as much as I did MK. And for a lot of you, I'm sure you love the game. And I'm sure many of you 20 years from now will be talking about how you got into MK11 and you love MK. But this is from a place of passion where it's like, wow, it's right there. It's right there. And you don't want stuff taken away from these characters at the top, but you're like, hey, there's so much more love in the game right now that you could give some of these characters who people feel like, I'm a little more restricted than these characters. And the answer is right there. The answer isn't nerf this and remove this and take this out of the game. The answer is right there in the game for them to kind of look at and go through and say, oh, wow, we designed these moves a year and a half ago. We never actually went back and kind of decided, we were probably too harsh on this move here, and maybe we could tweak this here and unban it. And like Terminate, they have something like that in MKX for Jason, and they have a good tool to govern it, etc. But obviously Terminator doesn't deactivate like Jason falls asleep. So, with that being said, I guess it has to be banned for now. But there's just a lot of stuff they could go in and unban this move and make this move one slot, or they might even be able to make certain moves default, to kind of like power everyone up to that Jackie and Cetrion level. Jackie players, Cetrion players, Joker players, they probably have a blast in this game. It's a fun game to play, especially when you're one of those characters going up against another because you have so many options. People don't want to play by doing down 1, down 3, down 4, down 2, throw. That's not how they want to play. And they definitely took a huge step in the right direction with customs. It's awesome they did that. But please don't forget about us, man. We love this game. Don't forget about us. Don't leave us like this. That's really how I feel. I guess that's Rio kind of chiming in
Rio,
there.
what are you thinking?
Well, I just want to finish before that and
Go
just
ahead.
say, look, if I'm wrong, you can come back on the podcast in a couple months or whatever and blow
And
me
Dave
up.
will.
But
He will.
but I think that was probably always the plan. Like I said, I don't think this is the balance patch, and I just think whatever you want to see changes for our slots, make your point. But I don't think it's this big thing of they're trying to handicap us or they're trying to take away our freedom or they don't. It's not really that deep,
Fair enough. Rio, what are you thinking?
Well, to me, it's not puzzling at all why the customs are the way they are. Like, it's not. I'm not sure why people are seeing it this way. If you look at it before, literally for over a year of the game, they've had preset variations. So for me, when I look at Jackie's Leap, I'm like, okay, I get why that's one slot. Because they had a preset variation before, which they wanted you to use this one move with the other two moves. And in order for that to be possible, they have to make it one slot. Because they wanted, originally, the variation was she has Leap, an air shrapnel cancel, and an aerial ground pound. So to me, it makes sense. I get it why. Same thing with Cetron. Why is her teleport one slot? Well, because they wanted it to be with her geyser. It's a 3-slot system, so you have her geyser, which is 2 slots. Of course, teleport would have to be one slot, if that's what NRS wants to be together. And to further go on, like, look at her tornado. Her tornado, the reason it was ever buffed was because it was on that 3rd variation she got, which people were complaining for months this variation is so bad. It's not as good as her geyser variation. There's no reason to use it. They got to do something about it. There's no reason to play it. So they buffed the 1-slot tornado move to make it good. So that way that one variation, which was the way it was originally supposed to be, it would become better and pick more.
Sure.
Same thing with her ground pound. She could cancel her ground pound. Why is that better now? Originally, it wasn't like that. Again, it wasn't as good as her other variation. The geyser move. The game right now was balanced for presets. But people wanted customs. So NRS, of course, instead of them waiting and giving us more time, because people are tired of waiting, they were like, fine, we'll give them customs, and you know what? We're also going to throw in a bone and be like, we're going to give you guys customs, and on top of that, we're not going to touch anything yet. We're going to leave most of it how it is, and let you guys go crazy for a couple months and have fun. But then after that, after this Pro Series is done, that's when they're going to do the balance patch. And like I said, be careful what you guys wish for, because moves that were originally supposed to be with presets, like Noob's low slide being 1 slot, because it was supposed to be with seeing double, that may not be 1 slot anymore. Sub-Zero's cold shoulder being his custom 1-slot move, and his slide being his base, that may actually get flipped if you guys want balance. So again, I can see why things are the way that they are. To me, it makes total sense. I get it.
Well, I think that would be going in the opposite direction and taking more freedom away from the characters, not adding anything of value.
Again, you need to be careful what you ask for. If you want balance, this is how some characters are balanced. To balance some characters, you don't have to make Shao Kahn 10 times better than Citron. You can make Shao Kahn better in 2 different ways. You can nerf other characters, you can buff other characters, you can buff Shao Kahn directly. There's many different ways to do things. The way NRS decides to do it is how they're going to do it. They've been nerfing a lot in this game, so who's to say next patch Citron won't get touched or whatever, and characters will move around.
Some of the angry, whether it's the angry Shao Kahn players, the Scarlet players, or Rogo players, they've been angry for
easily. This is how I address them. Shao Kahn players, if you want your character to be buffed, you need to take notes. Look at other communities like Melina, like Katana.
Oh my God.
They've been saying things every day on Reddit, TYM, Facebook, Twitter, Discord, everywhere you go, you constantly hear
Ridiculous.
Melina's not good, Katana's not good, buff, 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 buff. This is why characters like Katana, every patch, get looked at and addressed every single patch, and why characters like Shao Kahn in multiple patches never get looked at. Their community, I'm sorry to say it, is not vocal enough. If you want your character to get noticed, you need to start being passionate and you start taking notes and talking about your character everywhere.
The Shao Kahn
Spam Shao Kahn needs...
Rio, that's
Dave, can I talk, please? I've listened to you talk for like the past 15 minutes. Let me just say my piece. Jesus. I've been quiet for 20 minutes listening. Can I say something? So Shao Kahn players, they need to be vocal. They need to go to Facebook, need to go to Twitter. Their forum is dead as hell on TYM. They need to start bumping it every day. Talk about how your character has issues, bad, this. You want to get your character buffed, you got to put in the work. You can't say, oh, you know, I'm passionate, I want this character to get buffed. But then you're nowhere to be seen on Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Discord, not putting in the actual work, trying to get the character noticed. You have to put in the work. That's why characters like the ones I mentioned get looked at more than these other characters. Because when these people are making the game, they look into it, they're like, you know what? There's really not that many people complaining about Shao Kahn. But Katana, man, there's a lot of players here that want her to be better. I think we should focus on her a little bit more for this time. That's my opinion on how things get done. So Shao Kahn players, you want your character to get noticed and buffed really good? Start putting in the work. Start posting everywhere. You want the character to get better. Otherwise, they're not going to do it for you. You guys got to put in some work.
Please don't, I'm asking everybody, please don't spam any of the other developers' Twitter, or don't spam Test Your Might with buffs. Don't spam YouTube. Moronic advice.
But Dave said
No, you can do what you want. If you wanna bump the TYM form Shao Kahn and say the character's not good, you
Don't
need
listen
buffs,
to
go ahead. You
idiotic
should be able to do
advice.
what you want.
Like, look, don't listen to this.
I never said spam the developers. I said go onto your community, TYM Shao Kahn form, the Discord form for Shao Kahn, talk about the character, get people together, try to get attention for the character getting buffed. What's wrong with that? Every other community where the characters have been getting touched have been doing that.
No, that's not even. You think the Kano community is very passionate? They've been one of the quietest ones, yet you can argue that they have received one of the most buffs. Same thing with the Kotal Khan community. Who's making videos? Maybe Rufflemon?
What? Kano players have been crying since day one to fix the hitbox on the spit. That's all I've heard about for the
Players-
past
Sorry,
almost
they
2
want
years.
fucking moves to function properly. Are you stupid? They want their
Kotal-
moves to hit people. Is
Kotal
that a
players
buff?
have also been very vocal from day one. of
You
the
just
game.
told me Kano players weren't vocal about it, but yet all you
Okay,
heard about
I'm
for the
sorry they don't want their moves to hit. Is that too much? to
bad
ask,
example.
Aaron?
Bad example. It was a bad example for you to mention Kano because the Kano
I don't-
community it let people know his
I'm not gonna
issues.
let it pass right now. Not gonna let any shilling pass at this moment because that's right, shilling. Because people want their moves to hit, and they're like, "NRS, can we please get our moves to hit properly? Because it misses like on 50%, 60% of the cast." Rio, that's a buff. To me, that's basic functionality. And
Meanwhile, Shao Kahn's hitboxes are still whiffing on some characters crouch blocking like his jabs. Where are their
Again,
hitbox requests? All right, they're not
I am
vocal enough about
against
it.
people spamming any of the developers. Please don't do that. Don't go.
When did I say to spam before? I'm saying you got to keep your form active, man. Look at the Melina form. They post every day in that forum, letting people know that she needs help. She needs this. Her custom suck.
Actually, they don't. They don't. That's not even their argument.
Hold on, I
have
also
the-
have to say this because I know someone in the comments is going to bring this up. There's always the argument of, well, if they make it so there's a way to use all the moves, so there are no more bans. Say they go back and they say, okay, this move is a little unfair. Take Terminator's Terminate, right? So they say, all right, well, there are armor breaks in the game. So that's one way to balance it. But let's say after X amount of time, 5 seconds, he shuts down and he's open for 3 seconds for a full combo. Or maybe 4 seconds, whatever they feel is fair, right? Okay. And they go to do that. And people are like, okay, well, what's the point of then playing in customs mode if tournament mode is like customs mode? What they could do is you have your slotted moves that for competitive play, but then customs mode is, you can equip any 3 moves, no slot requirement. And that's just for custom only mode for people that want to play. Who cares about balance? Who cares about whatever? Let the shit hit the fan. You pick any 3 specials, no requirements for slot, no conflicts. And then in competitive mode, you would have whatever NRS deems fit as far as like slot requirements, etc. So, because I know there are people that are going to say, "What's the point of?"
Look, balance isn't easy. A lot of characters have moves that are like, why would you ever choose them? For example, Cetron has probably the most useless custom moves I've seen for any character.
Yeah.
She has like 5 different 2-slot moves, which when I look at them, I'm like, why would anybody want to equip these moves ever? She has so many useless moves. Will they get addressed in the future? Maybe. maybe not. But you got to give NRS time. Like I said, they just unleashed customs, and they have a Pro Series going on for the next 6 months. It would be foolish for them to do these drastic changes in the middle of a season, tournament season. They're going to wait after it. So after this tournament season is done, I think they're going to be doing a lot of balance changes.
I mean, I think it's good that they're waiting for the second coming of Christ to do these balance changes.
Dude, I look, I know people like Dave want to call me NRS shill, but I think the worst thing NRS could do is to release a major balance patch during a tournament. That would be the dumbest thing you could do. Imagine getting to the grand finals of this tournament season with playing something, and then you get there and it's like, wait a minute, everything's different now. My character's different. I'm playing my opponent who's his character functions differently. That would be idiotic in my opinion. They need to wait. They need to let the Pro Series tournament finish and then do what they want to do, because releasing a major game-changing patch during a tournament is not what they want to do. They're going to get so much flack for that.
I agree with you 100%. Even though I've been the victim of changes like 2 days before tournament, you guys know what I'm talking about. Look on chat. Sorry,
Oh, not again.
Not again. Sorry, I had to mention it because it's a fact. But no, I don't want the same thing down to these other players. It messes up your tournament experience and your chances of winning.
In reality, hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. This is wrong. Yeah, sure.
What is?
It fucking sucks to get off the plane and you're like, hey, guess what, bro? Guess what they did? What? That sucks. You're not losing fucking shit. It's free entry. You play from your goddamn home. Do whatever the fuck you want.
You're losing the time. You're losing hours and hours of practicing and playing with what you're using against people. What do you mean? You're losing matchup knowledge. You're losing how the game functions.
Tom,
you never get the time you lost back.
Tom, you know these are not the arguments.
It's not even a world final.
Tom,
Tom, look, it's different for you because you're not out there competing right now in this tournament. For a lot of people, they're focusing on this, man. It's important to them. So of course it would change it. Like, I don't understand how you're looking at it and not seeing that.
Tom, it's important to them unless you're the one with the Aquaman using the what is it, the double hitting thing that launches. Yeah, it should be nerfed. I mean, hell no, Tom should not be winning in the first place. Him, right?
Look, I know you guys want to talk about MK11 beta and Justice 1 patches from 7 years ago, but honestly, I don't care about to talk about things in the past. I'd rather talk about MK11. If we're gonna talk about MK11, let's talk about MK11. No, it's getting to the point where
that was a good one.
No one said anything right now, but Jesus, why are we talking about the beta of MK11? Why are we talking about Injustice 1 patch from 2013?
I'm not talking about Injustice.
Why are we not talking about MK11 right now? Let's talk about the game.
Did you know Lone Gunshots got nerfed?
No, it's just Dave's reaching so hard to win some of these arguments.
No, I'm using the arguments because they don't support Rio's nonsense.
What? They nerfed the little gunshots? I didn't.
It's because my arguments are for 2020 MK11. I'm not arguing for Injustice.
Let's focus
2013. If you want to talk about 2013 Injustice 1, then okay, you want to talk about it right now?
Fair enough.
You want to talk about that? We can.
Look, I agree. I agree. There's 2 points of view, but I mean, to be honest with you, like. What happens? So, like, what if? I'm not saying this is gonna happen. What if there's like 5 versions of the same characters in top 8, and like the next 2 or 3 of them? You know? Yeah, cool, man. Just keep it the way it is. It's whatever. I mean, like I said, I understand, but dude, 6 months, half a year.
Yeah,
that's the majority of that might be the majority of the life cycle left of the game.
Yeah,
that's true. Well, Cabo, let me ask you. Are you happy? And this kind of goes back to the second part of the discussion here on this podcast. Are you happy with the balance of the game? I understand you're approaching it from a Shang-Tsung perspective, and nobody's going to blow you up for approaching the game from that perspective because that's your main character.
Well, they will.
That's true.
Yeah. No, it absolutely will, obviously.
Yeah. Well, even on this podcast, you might get blown up. But
right.
Are you happy with the balance of the game? Obviously, you're approaching from the Shang-Tsung perspective. Nobody's going to blow you up. Maybe. But what are you thinking?
Okay. I definitely think there should be some balancing. Now, I'll say a couple things about that. Number one, I obviously don't think it should be like, oh yeah, hey, finals about to happen. Guess what? Day before. Like, no, that'd be silly. The time to do a balance patch would be like now or in the next month or 2. Because there'll still be plenty of Pro Series left.
And a lot of times there's like 3 or 4 weeks in between.
Yeah. The other thing, I think, Tom, you mentioned, like, what the hell is the point of doing it in 6 months? The game will probably be dead by then. Like, who
Yeah.
cares?
Hey, we balance. Like it reminds me of MKX, right? Where they were like, guess what, guys? 3 ESL seasons done. You're not getting another one. 2 Evos
Right.
done. Not getting another one.
Right.
Pro Series done. No more tournaments for you. But they're Alien. We heard you, man. Alien's gone.
Yeah.
Man, those armored launchers you hated, especially the safe ones. Oh man, those are gone too. Cool. What tournaments we have coming up? None.
Who says the game's gonna die in 6 months though? NRS said they want to support this
Man,
longer, right? So what if
it's-
this game has another 2 years
6
of life
months is
going
a
for it?
long
I'd
time.
be very skeptical if it's another 2 years.
Yeah, 2 months, 6 months is a long.
If NRS decides to do a Combat Pack 3 and 4, guess what? We're gonna be playing this
Yeah,
game for the
if
next
they
2
do,
years.
I
We're
just
gonna be
feel
playing
like-
until 2023.
Yeah, I mean,
and
yeah,
I
of
hope
course,
they do.
yeah, and I hope they do as well. Yes.
But
But
Cowboy,
yeah,
go,
it's just-
go ahead.
we
Yeah,
can't bank
Cowboy,
on
go,
that.
yeah, Cowboy, go ahead and comment. Like, did
Mhm.
you want to add
the
something
balance,
else about the
yeah,
balance? Yeah, talk about
Yeah.
the
The other thing I was saying, not to bring up the past, but yeah, I mean, what if it is a scenario where like literally it's 1-2 characters just spammed? Like I know there's an Injustice tournament, right? Where it's like all what the fuck? What's his name's? Not
Deadshot?
Deathstroke, Deadshot.
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 Like that was terrible. Do we really want? I'm not saying that will happen, but what if it does? Like we really want to go through with the Pro Series like that? I don't. I mean, so yeah, I think there should still be some balancing. Doesn't need to be knee jerk. Doesn't need to be like literally right before the finals, but it should happen. They shouldn't wait 6 months. I don't think.
Can you just comment briefly on the fact that a lot of the top players on that tier list have Shang Tsung in the top 10 as far as balance is concerned?
Well, I stopped taking the tier list seriously as soon as I see 20 characters in S tier. So
Fair. I
yeah.
think
Wow,
we would,
Rio
we would-
just made that point. That's so crazy.
I mean, if we got 20 characters in S tier, this has to be the most balanced game ever.
I
That's
think
created.
we would-
crazy.
yeah,
that
that's
earlier
bullshit,
today,
though.
Rio made
When
that
90%
exact
of the
point.
cast is S tier, I've never seen a fighting game like that in my life.
no, because it's almost like it's bullshit, right?
Look, we need to cut the shit. Every game, I know people are trying to chase this, balance this, balance that. Every game, no matter what it is, will always have a top tier and bottom tier. That's just how it
Definitely.
is. It's impossible.
And that's why I think
The
those
fact
tier
that
lists are
people
bullshit.
want, like,
Yeah.
I understand people want the game to be more balanced, but let's not kid ourselves. This game is reasonably balanced in almost any game out there.
Yeah, we're putting like 15 characters in a tier at a time. But I'm going to throw my little juice in. I'm going to put my matches on the fire and say, I think they should shake this game up as much as possible. Because I think it's good for a game later in the life of the game to shake things up. And I think, we've seen what being conservative has been like for the last couple years or so. And I think we're now approaching the time in this game's lifetime where we can throw some things in and just see what happens. We can give Shao Kahn some buffs, see what happens.
I was definitely a fan of the last MKX patch. I thought that was nice that they shook things up.
Right.
Even though it was obviously late, but
because especially
cool.
since we might not be getting another game as quickly as we normally would, right? Because normally we'd have like an announcement or something by now. I think that whatever they do to shake things up at this point in time, late in the life of the game, is actually going to be good for making it interesting to play for a longer period of time. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. I say we're past the point where being conservative is the most important thing, and let's throw some wrenches in there and see what happens.
Sure.
But if you talk about shaking things up, you have to talk about not just the balance. And I know at least a couple of people will not like this in the podcast. You have to talk about possibly changing some of the fundamental gameplay aspects of the game, which may include, just to name a few, fatal blows, hockey system, breakaways, crushing blows.
That'd be the worst way to shake up the game.
Well, hold on.
That would be the worst way to do it.
I'm not suggesting
That would be the look.
Right.
If they want to shake up the game, instead of them taking away things that the game has, they need to introduce new mechanics. I don't want them to take away fatal blows, take away the wake up option, take away. I want them to add brand new mechanics that will make the game even spicier. I don't want them to take more. You guys say this game. Look, people say, sorry, not you guys. People say this game has limited options. It's so bland, this and that. But you guys want to take more options away? You want the game to be more bland, more limited? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, on that I agree. But I don't want more limitations. I feel like let me go back to the Adinian Fate. I was thinking the other day. Here's why I bring that move up. I was thinking the other day. I was doing a video on Cetrion that I'm going to release soon, and I was talking about I'm doing a series why is this character so good, right? And I was going to go over the top tiers and kind of explain that they're not overpowered. That really other characters have some of the same tools that they can use in similar ways Just those moves are not worth it because they require too much to equip. So like Cetrion's a great example where like, a lot of the stuff she does, or maybe like Jackie she has some ways to kind of like get around the wake up system because shrapnel is considered a projectile, not an air attack, so it beats up 2. Or like how Cetrion can do stuff like back up and rock wall on wake up, or tornado to keep you grounded, which also armor breaks, like all kind of cool stuff, right? And then I was like looking at Katana's moves one day, and I was like, man, like this is a Denny and Fade move, right? Like, this is so cool. Like maybe she could like do something and cancel into it right over you, and if you up 3, up 2, or roll, she disappears and lands right on top of you, and like whatever, right? That'd be so cool. But it's like, man, it's 2 slots, right? Like, so it's not that maybe the answers aren't there. So really, perhaps if you really went back and did whatever with the game and looked at some of these moves and said, okay, we went too far on this. Yeah, we were too harsh on this move and whatever, and open some of this stuff up a little bit more. And maybe if they want to go back and rebalance some of the moves and make some of the 1s, 2s, which I don't know how much of a fan I am of that. I would much rather look at some of the 2-slot moves and say, what were we thinking? Why is this a 2-slot move? What? And so I look at some of these 2-slot moves now, and I'm like, if they opened all this up and a lot of characters said, oh, well, now I can equip this and I can deal with the wake up like this or do that like this, then the wake up system might make more sense. Maybe when they designed the wake up system, they probably made the moves and made the characters and assigned no slot requirements to anything yet. And they look at some of these moves put together with each other, and they're like, God, man, look at all these options. What are you going to do? So they're like, okay, well, we got to give you a lot of options on the ground. But then they went through the moves slowly and said, you can't do that. You can't do that. You get fucked. You stay in the shitter. Shao Kahn, do down 1, down 4 for the rest of the game's life. And like, they went through all these moves. And then it was like, wow, now the wake up is still the way it is and whatever. Now it's a little more slanted toward these characters are a slave to the wake up system, and these characters just fucking crush it. And just little things like that could all change. So I don't believe, to Rio's point, taking away, like the answer isn't while we're giving here, let's now take, because again, people are already saying this game doesn't have this option or that option. So taking is not the answer, I don't think.
Well, I think
Yeah, like I've seen
Right.
people saying like they want to remove flawless blocking, they want to remove this and that, and it's just like at that point it's gonna
Yeah,
be
when is
it's
the
gonna be like
stop?
MK1.
When is the taking stop? Like we got
Yeah, and like like some custom moves do need to be improved. I'd rather not talk about Katana for 1 second and talk about a character like Shao Kahn, bring some attention to him.
Okay.
Like his taunts, they could be better. They could maybe lessen the frame rate and maybe give them another buff or something. Yeah, they can look at it like I said, but again, you guys be careful what you wish for, because with balance comes the price of some characters. Like I said, the Sub-Zero slide, that may not be a base move anymore. Maybe getting a cold shoulder.
I'll equip them.
Maybe getting cold shoulder. You may have to equip that 1-slot slide now.
Sure.
Tom will take it as long as he gets the puddle.
Well, I think that's a just
take it.
Lord. If you have to equip the slide, that's to me is taking options away. It's not any kind of depth.
No, it's making you have to make more options now, because think about it right now, no one in the world is going to equip cold shoulder. That's just how it is. But now if you make slide an option, people are going to be like, you know what? Do I want slide here? Maybe I do. I'm going to equip it. So it would be better. Because right now, cold shoulder is in the game as a waste of space. No one will ever use it.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with you 100%. But I think if that would be literally be an indirect nerf to the character, because now he has to waste 1 slot on the
Well,
slide.
yeah. Well, it's it's solving 2 issues at the same time. People are complaining like crazy about Sub-Zero. They don't like playing against him. So it's like a little nerf, and he can kind of be as good as he wants, but he has to give it 1 slot.
I know,
agree with
but
that because then he'll take Cetrion and do nothing. So
No, trust me. With the way people are talking about her, I'm sure she's going to get nerfed.
well, this is my problem though.
well, exactly. That goes back
This
to
is my
Tom's
problem.
point. Yeah, that's
is
the
my
point.
problem.
Is people.
I watched the Pro Series. I was restreaming it, and I quite enjoyed it. I enjoyed the matches, and I was commentating it as well for the stream. And then afterwards, the talk was, my God, man, everyone's fucking playing Cetrion now. So now every fucking tournament's eventually gonna have 10 Jackies, 1,000 Cetrion.
Exactly, and let me tell you why I think NRS is not
even
going.
on Twitter.
Let me tell you exactly why NRS is not going to keep the top tiers how they are because how people are talking about them and reacting to them. People are saying how much they dislike Jackie, how they cannot stand Sechuan, how they want Liu Kang, Joker to get gutted. NRS is listening to all this feedback and how the whole community is reacting. You think that they're going to try to make other characters like them? No, to NRS, you guys are showing them that these characters are the plague. They need to be gone. They don't want characters like that. So instead of NRS buffing up, if people reacted differently, they're going to be doing it the other way. Now they're going to be nerfing down and
that's what I'm
and buffing some
concerned
characters
about.
up.
That's what I'm worried about.
Well, when you have community crying for Jackie for over a year and so on, NRS is like, you know what? They have a point. They don't like characters like Sechuan, Jackie with the freedom. They want them gone, so they're going to nerf them down. This is why I feel that they're not going to be buffing up. They're going to be doing a bit of both, but they're definitely going to be nerfing the top tiers down with how the just people do not like the top tiers, and it's been shown since this game launched.
I think, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, that would be the wrong approach for sure. Because
I agree, but Dave, again, remember, NRS, they like to listen to the community. Most people do not like the top tiers, and that's most likely what's going to happen. When you show a developer that we don't like that, this is bad, this is wrong, get rid of this, they're probably going to listen.
no, I see what your I see what your argument is, and I understand it. But I think again, we all do something for a living, whether it's a profession. I trust NRS to do the right thing. I don't want to go into their office and be like, you know what, this is what you need to do. That's not my job. That's none of our job.
So do I, but the difference is when they do this a couple months from now, I'm not going to be surprised. Like, oh my god, why did NRS nerf this and that? Because again, just like the current slot system, how some moves are one slot, it makes no sense. I totally understand why it's like that and why they're doing this. To me, it makes sense. They're listening to people. You know, why would I be shocked and act like, why did they nerf Joker or Liu Kang? You know, it's very easy to see.
He said taking away options would be the wrong thing to do. So why are we discussing?
Yes, if I was in charge of the game, I wouldn't do that. But I'm telling you what NRS is probably going to do because they're not me. They have their own opinions. They'd like to listen to people, right? If I was in charge of the game, I would do what I want only because of what I wanted, right?
Yeah.
NRS is different. They like to listen to the community and do this and that. That's why when they end up nerfing characters months from now, I'm not going to be here episodes later on our podcast, whatever,
I think,
and be like, oh my god, I can't believe they nerfed Sechuan or this character. I won't be shocked. I'll be like, well, we all saw this coming.
I praise NRS precisely because they haven't nerfed the top tiers.
Well, I think they do.
They've steadily nerfed the top tier slightly, and some characters got nerfed out of top 3. Like Gears isn't top 3 anymore. Aaron isn't top 3 anymore. Cassie isn't top 3 anymore. Like characters have definitely. Katana isn't even upper mid anymore. She got nerfed pretty hard too.
That, but if you look at like Sechuan, Jackie, you look at Luke.
Dave, I get what you're saying, but look at Jackie, Liu Kang, etc. from like vanilla of the game. They were way more obnoxious. Johnny, all the characters were way better.
I'm not sure about that. What Liu Kang lost like a couple of frames of forward 4. Literally everything else is the same. In fact,
his 9-frame 4-4 was insane.
I think
it was like the best thing in the game.
He's better not because he got a command throw. Like, what are you talking about?
But imagine he was the way he was when he wasn't got nerfed with all these new custom moves. How absurd he would be.
But I think
that's what I'm saying. Like, I think we got to look at the whole picture.
This is actually the reason why I don't think we have to worry much about it. That is because they have shown. Look, they consistently nerf pretty much all the top tiers, right? In every major patch, somebody gets a hit. But it's not like the old patching strategy, right? It's not like you guys remember what it was like in Injustice MKX, where you were like, "Oh my god, like this character got the bat, like." They're terrible now. You know?
Oh, I know exactly what you mean.
Here we go.
So look, I'm convinced that even if they do nerf, say Jackie, Sechuan, whatever, it's not going to be like, oh my god, they can't use their tools anymore. You know, maybe they'll lose a couple frames here or there, or something will be a little bit more costly. But yeah, I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, but naturally they don't have to do that because the game in general is a pretty well balanced. Like when you have arguably the best character in the game, Sechuan, beating the worst character in the game, Shao Kahn, 6-4. I mean, what other games do you see the best character only beating the worst character in the game 6-4? That's kind of crazy. So naturally, NRS doesn't have to go the extra mile to tone these characters down. You know, they just have to do small tweaks.
But Rio, here's the point that I'm making is that the point is
there's no way every match in MK11 is 5-5 or 6-4.
But
I didn't say that. But when characters like the best versus the worst are similar to that, it's really good.
Tom, hold on. I think the issue is that giving a slap to on the wrist to Sechuan or Jackie or Liu Kang isn't going to make the game more fun for the Shao Kahn player in any way, shape, or form. They have reworked 4-3-4. They've tried for like the past almost 2 years, and it still hasn't worked out. And those are the characters I'm talking about specifically. Not talking about. I think the top tiers. I've praised them. They've done a great job. I think they've done a better job than all the other fighting game developers of the modern fighting games.
Yeah, I think they made the game those characters over the top, but not to like too over the top, where they're like MK9 Cyrex. They made them over the top so they have a ton of tools, a ton of options, and I'm sure it's really really fun to play those characters. So
It,
they did a good job with that. Absolutely.
it is, but I think giving a slap. The point is like, it's not necessarily like you and I always privately argue about top tier. I understand not every character can be top tier. Every same person who's ever played fighting game understands that. But it's like, are those characters fun to play in the low tier? Can they actually be fun to fight against, even against the top tier?
It's not
When you-
about can they compete. It's about, dude, can we do more than down 1, down 3, down 4, throw uppercut, please? And some characters, that's what they do.
Yeah, and I think that's the point. Like, giving a slap on the wrist to set you on to Jackie isn't really going to change the meta for them. It's just going to, okay, now maybe they don't beat me as bad, but I'm still playing the same way that I've done for the past year and 8 months or 9 months, whatever. Cowboy, what do you think?
Of which part? Nerfing?
No, just like in general about the whole topic about, like if
Well,
yeah,
Hmm.
go ahead, please.
I mean, I think the game, at this point, I think the game is what it is, which I can understand if you don't like, strike throw. But, I mean, and honestly, look at, like, characters that have mix-ups are insanely stupid. Like, they gave a 50-50 to Sub-Zero. Terminator, like, up close is absolutely absurd. So, like, do we want that? Do we just want to go back to MKX? I don't think so.
Well,
I don't know. Like, I don't know what else you do.
Well, obviously they will not add any more zoning in the game. You can bet.
Oh, yeah, that's a
you can-
guarantee.
I think we also need to come together and tell developers exactly what we want. I feel like we tiptoe around eggshells, we beat around the bush, and the developers are like, what are they trying to say? What do they mean? Like they're trying to like figure out
First of all,
hieroglyphics.
as far
Why
as-
don't we just tell them exactly what they want? So, for example, Dave, what would you like to see them do to this game? How would you tell them to change the game instead of just being like they need to do something? What are your ideas? Like help them out.
I think I've posted for example, for the characters that I play at least, I can't comment on Shao Kahn. Shao Kahn players comment on that. I can't comment on Scarlet players. They can comment on. I've posted my
Okay, so
list.
Katana for the 4th time. Okay, so how would you fix her for the 20th time?
I've already explained it to you how I would fix her, and I also explained how I would fix RoboCop.
Okay, but Dave, not everybody reads your post. At least let the audience know.
For example,
what
if
your
Katana's
opinions are.
supposed to be a spacing / zoning oriented character, why does the low fan up close has a gap? And even if you flawless block it, you don't have to do up 2, up 3. It's still minus 13. I think make it -7, -8 with pushback. The same with Delia's dance. No gap. And now she actually plays like a footsie and zoning character up close. Now, is they going to create a couple of bad matchups? Possibly. But in return, you buff characters like Baraka, you buff characters like Shao Kahn, you give a couple of buffs to to Scarlet, possibly to to Devora.
That's a significant buff. I don't think Shao Kahn get anything half as good as what you're giving her, and that's only one buff.
Well, like, if you look at King Junior's 2 or 3 page buff list,
Yeah, but dude, look. Like I said about Shao
Insane.
Kahn, I know people don't want to keep it real, but look, like I said about Shao Kahn, they're not very vocal about him. I feel like NRS is like, you know what? Shao Kahn players are kind of tame. They're not at our throats. They're not threatening to take our life because we didn't do this about this character. I think we could just let them simmer down and play their character for a while. But let's focus on these other characters with these other super passionate communities and do that. Like I said, developers are more likely to listen to issues that are talked about constantly than ones that are barely uttered about, which is, unfortunately, that's what Shao Kahn is. He's the worst character in the game, and he's not acknowledged and put into everybody's face like he should be. That's just how it is.
I think the character has been low tier for the past almost 2 years.
He's been the worst character in the game since launch, and he's gotten barely any changes,
right.
which is, like I said, sad, but what can you do? People just do not talk about him nonstop like they do.
They don't have to talk about. NRS has known that they obviously know that he's been low tier for a long
Yes,
time.
but Dave, remember, they have limited time. They have demands to meet. If you have 100,000 people on this side saying they want this, then you have a couple hundred on the other side saying that. Which one are you going to address first? Come on. I'm not sure why I have to explain this to you. You know what I mean.
I would try to address everybody equally. I'll look at most tier lists that people, and we know from Capcom, from Namco, from NRS, they actually listen to this tier list. Stephanie even said it on on stream. They take the criticism seriously. So I'm not asking people to spam anything from any developer. Please don't do that. Don't.
Why isn't that in my argument? The only thing you see is the spam part.
No, I'm
You
talking,
completely ignore everything else,
about
man.
in general because I want to be real with the community.
I'm not saying spam Paul's inbox. I'm saying you got to go to these communities, these forums that are made to talk about the game. That's what you do there, Dave. You go to the Shao Kahn section and you talk about the character every day on the forum. That's what
Not
you
every day. You shouldn't be doing that. You make your
point
point.
about nobody wants MKX, like he brought that up. I agree. And there are some characters like, the mixed characters are very strong because of how strike throw it is. And instead of taking their turn back, they're going to mix you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it leads to a couple things. One, like you brought up Sub-Zero, absolutely. Like his turn is the 50-50, right? So it's like you want to be next to him. Here's the problem with Sub-Zero. If you would actually say, what do you want to do with Sub-Zero? Here's the rules. They would say, well, you can't have clone, can't have ice shower, can't have ice puddle, can't have overhead or low. Just take him out of the fucking series, man. My God, man. What?
All right, we got to get Tom out of here. Here we go. Here we
No,
go.
I mean, like, that's a valid complaint.
Hold on. That is
That's
actually
a valid point.
Oh, yeah, it is. Crimson, how is that not a valid point? How is that not a valid
I'm
point?
just teasing
Hold
Tom.
on.
I'm just teasing Tom.
Hot take: if Sub-Zero's 0402 was not overhead, he'd still be a good character.
Round,
Yeah, he'd probably still be good.
Round,
Yeah.
I have no problem with his forward 2 being mid, and then he could ground puddle, and he would still be very good. They could literally take forward 2 and make it like a 14 frame mid. Okay, it's an advancing 14 frame mid. Fine, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But and they could take creeping ice and say,
stop. They will never allow that for very obvious reasons. They don't want to slow down game. They don't want to slow the game down in any way, shape, or form. You
Why
guys
would that
already
slow
know
down the
this.
game?
Because if
Wait,
you
what
have
do you
the first of all, if you have the ice bottle, that alone is an anti-meta as far as the wake up. They want you to be able to wake up, push buttons, jump randomly.
well, I
roll
mean,
forward,
Tornado's anti-wake up.
roll. I wouldn't be surprised if next patch you get a roll that rolls across the whole screen, so you're 100% safe. They don't want any consequences. So if God forbid there's a move,
They did that.
that's right.
Well, I mean, Injustice 2 had that. You could roll almost.
No,
full
from the
screen.
ground though.
Not from the ground though. You don't think I can literally see that happen?
Dave would love that. He'd be like, "Yes, now finally, I can knock my opponent down, do an autopilot string, and they can't punish me because they roll full screen."
Imagine you can be on the ground and decide do you want to wake up grounded or just appear in the air and drop down on
Just
someone. Like,
teleport across the whole screen. Just
What about they add meter burn, wake up, jump, so that way character grows and then jumps up in the air with invincibility? What about
Bro,
that?
I mean, you.
We got to start thinking
Dude,
outside the box.
I know we should. And you and Crimson
Make
should-
it happen.
You
Peter
you-
Bird jump.
No, Dave. The difference between me and you is I would use it and have fun with it. You would cry about it, like, "Oh my
I'm
god, this
crying
game is so
about that. I
random."
picked up a top tier. I've moved on, and I'm doing fine.
Peter Bird jump.
I'm just saying, and if those were the two options, you and Crimson would still shield the shit out of those options.
Oh my god!
See, okay,
Shilling.
since I'm so tired of this word being brought up, can you define what a shill is? Just tell us. Tell the whole audience what a shill is.
People who suck up to the game without providing any kind of criticism, or at least rarely ever.
I criticize MK11 all the time. I'm sorry, I don't think the wake up system and this and that are the worst things in the world. I think they're fine. There's ways around it, and I have my own gripes, but I don't feel they're that dramatic where I need to literally complain about it 24/7, 365 like you.
Well, let's ask our guest, Cowboy. What do you think about the wake up system and the breakaways in this game? Are they like what
Yeah.
you're used to, or is it like a little bit different than from what you're used to?
What does me being used to it have to do with anything?
Well, I'm saying that maybe you played older games and maybe they're different. I understand.
I
we're
will
not-
say
we're not allowed-
I don't like breakaway at all. Like
Okay.
at all. I don't understand. I mean, to me, if I had a choice in it, I would just say go back to regular breakers.
well, any
I-
sane person is saying that, but go ahead, please.
Yeah. Like I don't. I feel like they just did that. To
Can
do
we
something
debate that
different.
actually if you want to? I'd like to explain why Breaker old system was way worse than this new breakaway.
Oh, fine. Cowboy, finish your point first.
Yeah.
Though.
I would go back to that, like, because this man, breakaway just screws so many characters and then does nothing to others. I think it's inherently a flawed mechanic. I don't think it should be in the game at all. In terms of like wake ups, probably it'd be nice if at least one of those options was gone, like maybe roll. But
How
those are
dare
things-
you, you scrub! You can't adapt! Get out of this freaking car right now! You're scrub.
what?
That's
my
literally
Dave.
real. No, that's
Okay, guys, you really
chill.
expect that he's trying
That's
to imitate me?
chill.
When have I ever sold that to
That's
anybody? Like, are you
chill.
cowboy? Are you
That's
kidding me?
chill
Dude,
argument
are we?
that I'm again.
Dave,
And I
you are the worst at imitating people. I swear,
I
dude. That
know.
sounds
I
nothing
know
like
I
me, and I
am.
never
I
done that to
know
anybody.
because I have to probably drink another bottle
Dave,
of wine.
you know what's crazy? That's actually you. That's actually you. When you think
The
about
point
it,
is,
that's
the
you.
point I'm trying to
You're
make.
just showing us all your true colors behind the
The
scenes.
point I'm trying to make is that's literally Rio has criticized. Rio blew up Tom for like 2 months, saying how much of a scrub he is for
Mhm.
not being able
What?
to.
You and Dave have publicly said that. I don't know anything about this podcast. Literally, the episodes too. You guys said I'm bad. I don't even play the game. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't lab the game. We can go back and listen to previous episodes. You guys have told that to me. I've never insulted you guys saying that you guys are bad, don't understand the game, this and
Except
that.
the fact that you blew up
Like
Tom.
what like Dave,
okay,
literally, look, real talk, friend to friend, put the alcohol down, man. Just talk to us. Let's talk
Anyway,
about the
I
game.
don't wanna-
This whole circus thing
you
you're
need
doing,
a
dude,
you
it's
need
gotta
a, you
stop.
need a moment. Cowboy, go ahead, please finish your point. I'm sorry for interrupting you.
What?
I can't remember what the point was at this point.
What just happened?
Cowboy got bodied.
Cowboy,
No.
Yeah.
What just happened? Cowboy goes, yeah, I think the roll, and Dave goes, you fool, you scrub.
Basically.
But okay, you have comment on the breakaway system already. Elaborate more on the
Dude,
Oki
this
system.
is like
Elaborate
ridiculous,
more on the
man.
Oki system.
Oh my-
I would.
Good, good.
Yeah, I think there's just one too many options. Like, the invincible wake ups, and then also like the roll, and then there's jump or wake up buttons. It's a bit much. Like one of those options getting toned down or something would be nice. Cause yeah, like I mean honestly, and like of course obviously I play Shang. I have my most success when I'm doing offense, to be honest, not when I'm like zoning. And then man, like his like the base Oki in this game is just not good. Like there's characters that have things that can get around it, but Shang's not one of them, obviously.
Do you think that the top tier characters kind of play around the Oki system? Let's to give you an example. If you use Tetrion, pretty much everything is grounded, right? You never have to deal with the Oki system, and if you do, she usually
you can
backs
reset.
off.
Yeah,
she usually backs off, does the wall, has no hurt box, so you save. Like if they
Yeah.
roll,
Yeah,
you
that's
can
what I do
react.
there.
Yeah, so it seems like the best characters in the game kind of avoid the system that gives many characters so many issues. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah,
Not
totally.
necessarily, because you have characters like Devore that have amazing Oki anti-wake up game,
Oh
but they're
my
also
God, her
fall on the
Oki
lower
is-
side.
Well, I don't think she's that bad.
Her Oki is
but yeah.
insane. She doesn't even have to deal with the wake up game,
Yeah.
but she's not top 5.
Yeah, there are maybe like one or two exceptions. For the most part, though, we kind of see the evidence for what it is. I would say.
Yeah, I think it's a mixed bag. Like some characters like Liu Kang, they can still die. Other characters like Jackie, she can just do her leap shenanigans and stuff like that. She doesn't have to worry about
Yeah,
it. So
I think you're reaching a little too hard with this. Oh, top tiers don't deal with wake up. Low tier, I think you're just trying to
Let
make
me
too much
weigh
of
in on the
something that's
wake-
not really.
I
Not.
want to point out something that Wound brought up with the what is it? The breakaway system. So the thing that to elaborate on Wound's point. So you had the breaker system, and I guess the whole point of going to breakaway, and Crim brought this up very early in the game when he was shilling. No, I'm joking.
oh my god.
No, that's not a joke. That's a fact. But go ahead.
Crim brought this up very early in the game. He's like, well, when somebody breakers, this could be the hit that kills, and then they break and they take no damage. You got no reward for it, right? Even though they took resource, but you got, and sometimes you would hit somebody, and the minute they got hit, bam, breaker. You took no damage from them. But of course, in those games, you had to build your meter back. So when you took something, you had to take meter or life. Taking meter was a pretty hefty penalty because it didn't just come back to you for free. But I mean, it was like, well, if they break away, you just get a hit of armor and you fall to the ground, you're going to take some damage. But also the downside is they're not the only one taking some damage. Sometimes they're going to take damage from you. Now I understand Rio's point. Well, just do an unbreakable combo. So here's the problem. One the breakaway system is the most imbalanced part of the game because sure, you could do something and just do a guaranteed combo. But 99% of the guaranteed combos in this game, they'll never break. So it's like, oh, you took 20%.
That's
stuff.
actually not true. And I know, look, Dave, I know we disagree a lot, but you can speak for me here, dude. When you play my Baraka and Noob, do I not make you break all the time? And I always go for my combo. But the combo I always do is always save for breakaway, and I'm getting damage. So
Okay,
I'm
let
going
me,
for
let me, let me
damage
finish,
and
let me
save from
finish what I'm saying. Let me
anti-breakaway.
finish what I'm saying.
Yeah, but Dave, come on.
It's imbalanced when it comes.
Is
hold
that
on,
not true?
I'm getting to
Hold
that.
on. I'm just saying.
getting to that.
I'll be fair. Finish your
I'm
point.
getting to that. I'm getting to that. You have some characters where their whatever breakaway combo is minimal damage, and they get to keep the bar. So you hit them, they keep the bar. You go to pressure, and they're like, bad news, bruh. I have all this resource. You better down one me or else." Good job. Then other characters are like, I get to do my full combo, and even if you break away, it doesn't matter. This is my max combo. Other characters have armor breaks that you have to just take the whole damage.
Okay, let me ask you, who are the characters that are suffering the most from this? The like top 5
Hold
characters
on,
that are
let me finish. And then you have characters who do the entire combo grounded, 40%, get fucked. Even better, they can launch you, and if you break or take the whole combo, it's the exact same fucking damage. Breakaway doesn't even fucking exist. Doesn't even matter. And the weird thing about it is, it'd be one thing if a lot of the mechanics they didn't try to make universal. Hey, the meter mechanic is going to be universal. For gameplay, we want everybody to have the same amount of meter. Hey, the wake up system, everyone's got up 2, up 3, forward roll, back roll, long delay, not long delay, now it's just delay, not delay. We're going to keep it all universal. And then it comes the breakaway. Oh, good for you, good for you. Okay for you. You're fucked. You better uppercut every fucking time or you're dead. That's the breakaway system. It's everything is universal. And then it comes
Okay,
to
let me
that.
ask again. Who are the top 5 characters that are suffering from this severely? Because look, right now people are listening, their eyes are going all over the place. Who's he talking about? He's talking about Kano, he's talking about Cabal, he's talking about Jack. Who's he talking about? Like, who are the 5 characters that are very crippled by this breakaway
I didn't say
system?
5, but like let's say you have.
Okay, who are the 3 then?
Let
Who
me
are the
give you
3
some
characters that are
examples.
crippled
Let me give you
heavily?
some examples. You have some characters like Jackie, where breakaway doesn't matter ever, because all her damage is grounded, like 40%. And even if she launches you, if you break, it does the same damage as if you didn't break. So it's no point to ever break. It's a waste of meter. Then you have characters, say for example, like a Cetrion, where Tornado not only restands you, you can't ever break because it fucking armor breaks you. Characters like Jade, where you can't, she has crushing blow on her shadow kick. It's a literally,
Yeah, breaking away against Jade is suicide.
yeah. I mean,
But anyway, okay, but who are the
or
3 characters
Cabal.
that suffer from
I
breakaway
would
the most?
say
That they
Rain
just-
is definitely one of them for sure. Rain is one of them.
Shang is
I don't
very
agree
hurt
with
by
that.
breakaway.
Standing 4 into torpedo
Wound
gets you
says-
decent damage and it counters
No,
Shang,
breakaway.
I mean, yeah.
Remember,
Shang
Dave, I
gets
played Rain.
destroyed by breakaway.
Shang's definitely another one.
Like,
Yeah.
I have to guess if they have it. Like, if I don't meter burn, then okay, I'm safe. But now I just missed out on a huge combo. Then if I do and they break, I'm gonna get pressured. Like, it's fucking absurd.
All right, so Shane gets crippled from breakaway. Who else would you guys
I
say?
would
2 more
definitely still
characters.
say Rain.
I don't think Rain does. I think he has good anti-breakaway setups.
You are again. We have fundamental disagreement.
Well, he
If-
has an armor break too, though, right?
Dave, you have to remember the loadout I play is different than yours.
No, I
man. I like to
understand
use
that.
4 into bubble. It gets me decent damage, and if they break away,
It's
they
not the
die. So
loadout.
they have to sit there and always take the damage. It's
If
good.
you don't use the bubble, the reality is that it's just counterintuitive to playing anything, like any fighting game you ever played, including MK11. Like, if I guess right in neutral, I should be getting rewarded. I've earned that, whether I win or lose. Even when I lose, I'm like, you know what? He's earned it. He made the right read. Except
See, here's the thing. That rule would apply if you're playing a different game, but this is MK11. It's
that's
got
why
different
nobody
rules. It's
agrees
its own
with
game.
you on this game. Don't you understand that?
Dave, look. Please don't speak for everybody. Speak for
I
yourself.
speak
If that's
for
your opinion, that's fine. But don't
100%.
speak for
I
everybody.
speak for 80%
Because some
of the community. That's
people
why you get
actually
blown up
don't
in
mind the
comments,
breakaway.
You get blown on test your
Some
mind. You get blown
people-
up on Twitter. You get blown up constantly for
Dave,
shit.
look. I know you're talking for everybody, but some people actually do not mind the breakaway system. Collector players love it; they don't care. Like, come on,
I
why,
know.
just talk
Thank
for your
you
opinion.
for proving my point. I know that.
Why is your opinion not enough? Why do you always have to mention everybody? This, that.
Here's the funny part. You mentioned the best
Jesus, dude.
anti.
All I asked was for 3 characters, and you're literally going nuts, dude. Just name me 3
I
characters
just told
that
you.
get
You're the one
butchered
who's
by
been
breakaway.
whining because I,
Yes, I don't
Yes.
agree with Rain. I'll give you Shang, so name me another one. Jesus, it's like we
Okay,
can't have a
right,
conversation.
Fine, let me open up the game right now. I
So,
actually
okay,
open-
Shane gets butchered by breakaway. Rain, I don't agree with. I think he has ways to counter it and ways to play around it and get decent damage. Who else?
from the character.
It should be easy with such a
Yeah,
glaring
it
issue
is
with the game.
extremely easy. From the character that I
All right.
use, I would also say definitely Sindel, because every time she gets a launch, she can't launch you, but she'll be getting 40%.
She has the easiest like armor break
He has a
away.
good
What?
armor break.
I
She has
know.
the greatest armor
yeah.
break.
Okay.
That's like global.
Okay,
What are you
fine,
talking about?
fine.
Have you played
Okay,
Sindels?
she does, instead of doing 38 to 40%, she does 20 to 25. That's good to you? She does.
Dude, no, they do 30.
No, they don't. Because you can react.
And you have to choose to quick breakaway or not. Dude, you got to play some of the Sindel players. It's not. She's not free to breakaway like that.
I think the fact that you think when you guessed wrong, you should have a free out of jail card for the most part against most of the characters.
Dave, you're not. You're looking at it in such black and white. You're getting almost 30%, and they're losing all their meter. You're getting bank. You're
For
getting
some characters,
literally 1/3 of their life and all their
you
defensive
can
meter.
react to everything. That's the issue. If you know the matchup, you can.
It's not about reacting. It's about doing a combo that gets you decent damage, and if they break away, it doesn't matter. And then on top of that, they're screwed. If they get hit again, they're done.
not everyone has something like that.
Yeah.
That's literally why I asked you guys, who are the expert on why breakaway is
Dave
bad
said
for the
he's gonna
game. Who are
open
the
it
three
up.
characters? Jeez.
Let Dave finish, and I'll.
All right, Dave, name your
I
characters.
would say definitely Shang Tsung. I would mention Rain.
Okay, we already know that. Yes, we said
I
Shang
would
10 times.
mention Rain in there. I would definitely mention Sindel in there.
I disagree with Rain.
Fair enough. Sindel misses on a ton of damage.
I think Sindel's fine for the breakaway system.
What about
I disagree there.
Shao Kahn? Definitely.
Shao Kahn is one of the better
has
anti.
really
No,
good
breakaway
you did
damage.
not
No,
just
no, no,
you did
yeah,
not just
no.
mention Shao
You
Kahn.
can
Dude.
react. You can react to.
Let me give you an example. Okay, let me give you an
The-
example. Okay, let me give you some
Jesus,
examples. Let me
dude.
give you some examples. Raiden, you hit with back 3-1, and you go to confirm, you're dead. GG's. Because you can break away.
Actually, no, they fixed his lightning move. You can't break away between it now.
Back 3-1, back 3.
Yes, but you have to be a god, dude. You have to literally intentionally get hit by that and instantly break away. And he has a workaround. By the way, Raiden players do back 3 into his lightning move, so
Okay,
that doesn't.
Some
dead.
people are going to defend
Then
this.
you're,
system.
then you're dead.
Tom,
Then you're
Tom,
dead.
You're not dead. Back 3 into lightning move combos and you can't break away. What do you mean? It's guaranteed damage. It's guaranteed.
You can't confirm it. You just throw it out.
No, but you're talking about a punish instance, right? That's what you're talking about. Like you block something unsafe, you go to punish
No,
with
I'm
back
talking
3-1
about you
into
go
the
to
lightning.
mix up with back 2 or back 3.
Okay, well, how the hell's your opponent if they don't know what you're gonna do? Like, you tell me that you instantly do back 3-1, they're instantly gonna break away.
Okay,
Nobody's
what
gonna do
about,
that.
what about Scorpion? What
That's
about-
an
what about-
insane
I'll give you an
example.
So
Rio,
You're really
Rio.
reaching with that
What
example.
about Scorpion?
No, because you're really reaching with that example. It's horrible.
Hold on. A few weeks ago, or several weeks ago, we were talking about the breakaway with Kotal Khan's cat, in which, in the situations in or near the corner, if he cats to go through your projectile and you break away, he gets full comboed. And Rio said, no one's going to do that. I'm on the diddle dome.
No, I didn't say that. I said people
Well,
found a way to
he
circumvent
said
that. They're
lies.
playing a different way to counter
So,
that.
and I was on the diddle dome, and someone
Dude,
actually.
you guys are like, this is ridiculous, man. I said combos specifically. You guys are mentioning specific break. You guys are gonna mention Aaron Black 2-1-2-1-2.
Okay, well, my point is, if you're a Kotal Khan player who equips the cat and your combo is whatever into cat, you have no corner combo. You have to do 2 hits and stop and keep them standing, and then go back to pressure. Because if you cat, they break away.
Shao Kahn's that want combos, they don't use cat. They use the other. They use his launcher.
My
move.
point
They equip that.
is, it's still a flaw.
Okay, so Kotal Khan gets butchered by the breakaway system. So your 3 characters are Shang,
False.
Kotal Khan, and
not-
Rain. They get butchered by the breakaway
I'm saying
system.
with the cat. I
No,
mean, it's
Tom, hold on, Tom. Let me please comment on the character that I actually use because he's lying to the people, to you all 1, 2, 3, 4 of you. He's lying. Like he's completely lying to you. Nobody's saying that.
What did I lie about?
Well, let me explain to you because I use Kotal Khan. Kotal Khan does not get butchered because most of his combos are grounded. That's why the character's so strong.
Then why are you mentioning him as the top
I
3
did
worst
what
breakaway
Tom did.
characters?
Example.
Tom
Jesus.
mentioned an example.
Oh my god,
and
this
he
is hurting my head, man.
I know it should hurt your head.
Look,
It makes you
Look,
dark.
if you want to say I can't think of 3 characters right now, Rio, then you can say that. You don't have to be right about this. It's okay. No
You
one cares
mentioned the
who's right or
characters,
wrong.
you just
It's all
got
about
hurt
learning,
about it.
discussing
That's
what
not our
characters are
fault.
good or bad. People are going to learn, okay, this character's bad against breakaway, then I'll use it. Like, it's all about discussing the game, learning from the strategy, and talking about it. If you don't have 3 characters in your mind, then just say that and we'll move on.
Well, if you shut up and let people talk, maybe they will mention the 4 characters for you. Now, the point is this. Tom talked about a specific example, which, by the way, did occur just during the finals when Aztec were fighting against, who was in the finals on the Outward just yesterday? He was fighting against, I don't think it was Jones. It was another Jackie player. It literally occurred in a corner.
Hijinks?
Yeah, hijinks. Thank you, Crimson. It literally occurred in a corner because he was going for that combo, and he got punished because Jinx broke out of the combo. And I think Scorpion also get hurt a lot by the system.
No, Scorpion actually has very good options
Not
when
if
they
he does
break away.
teleport.
Very good.
Wait, what?
He has Unbreakable with Spear, and on top of that, if you do his teleport, he always gets 4-3, 2-1 into a combo guaranteed. Like, if you break away that, it's always safe, no matter what. So he gets to hunt damage and cover you trying to break away at the
What's
same time.
guaranteed after the
No,
EX teleport?
Nothing.
What 4-3 is?
No, not if you break away right away.
But you're not punished, so that's good. You make them break away. That's perfect. And if you
Oh
don't want
my-
them to break away,
Look, this
dude,
conversation
Dave,
is
like
we
you
just have a
said, look,
different
like you said to
mentality,
me,
that's all it
like
is.
you said to me, shut up, let me speak, because I actually played Scorpion in this game. If you really want breakaway, if
Yeah,
you're smart as
lose a
Scorpion
lot with
player,
him too, by
what
the
you
way.
could do, let me speak, what you could do if you're smart with Scorpion and you want to get anti-breakaway, you could confirm into Spear and get guaranteed damage. So you have two options. You have safe combos to hunt after they break away, where you're not prone to getting comboed if they break away, and on top of that, you can go into guaranteed combos where they have to eat the damage.
My
with Spear.
point is, it's
So
not.
Scorpion is a horrible
My point
example.
is, the whole point is, it's not a balanced mechanic. And in a game in which they made so much universal, meter, universal, wake up system, universal, the way so many things are done, fatal blows, all come back, same amount of time.
Look,
They try to do so many things universal to say,
in my
we don't
opinion,
wanna
I think
give a
we're over
character-
exaggerating hardcore about the. I think the breakaway system, you may not like it or whatever, but it's really not as bad as
it's
people are
not
making
balanced.
it seem.
It's
The fact that we're struggling to come up with 3 characters that get obliterated by it,
We're
to
not
me,
struggling.
is
You're
just,
just
not
denying
struggling.
it. You're being
It's
in
very
denial.
telling.
You're
You're
just
not
being in
struggling.
denial.
The
Yeah,
point
you're
is
just being in denial.
Dude.
the point is you're saying, guess what, bro? I know this character gets 45 guaranteed, but dog, you get 10 and the pressure. I'll take the 40, man.
Tom,
It's just,
take the
look,
40,
I
dog.
haven't been punished by breakaway
take the
since like
40.
months.
it's
Look,
just Tom. It's a different mentality. I mean, he thinks
I'll
10%.
take the 40.
Yeah, I would take the 42 if I were a
I'll take
sane
the 40.
if I were a sane human being. I guess some people would settle for 50% and pressure. I mean, I would, but
I'll take the
to
40, dog.
each his or her own. To each people have different perspectives, and I mean, I don't agree, obviously, but I respect the perspective of others. Cowboy, I will let you wrap it up. Go ahead, please. What do you think about this breaker topic? Would you rather take the damage, or would you rather take 5% into okay?
Dude, Dave lowers the percentage. It started as 15, and Dave was like,
It's like
7,
it's a
now it's
cari-
5.
it's a,
By
it deserves to be a caricature because
By
it
the
is a
time
caricature.
we come back to Crimson Shadow, he'll be like, do you take the 1% or the what?
I mean, yeah, my thoughts are the same. I think it's a bad mechanic. I don't think anyone really likes it. I've never seen someone say they were.
Well,
okay with
aside
it.
from Rio,
well, guess what, Cowboy? I like it, so I'm the first
All
person. I
right,
guess.
the first person I've literally ever talked to who likes it. But so, I mean, yeah, as you said, to each his own. But it's not my thing. I think it's shitty.
And you know what? I like this breakaway more than breaker.
I don't get
and
that
if you guys
at
want to talk
all.
about why breaker was horrible, then I'm down to talk
yeah,
about that right now,
let's
actually.
wrap up the
As the
In
last
podcast.
topic.
with the
MK9,
topic.
it was okay. Hold on. In MK9,
Yeah, go ahead.
breaker was bad because like it gave characters setups and like traps. But I don't think it was that way in MKX.
No,
I could be wrong.
it wasn't.
Which I had no problem with it. Like, what was wrong with that?
For MKX, it put you in neutral. The problem is this: you're playing against a character like Melina,
Mhm.
who literally gets to break every single round because she builds meter like a
Melina's not
battery.
in this
Right.
game.
Every time you get in,
Not like that.
What?
But that's not in this game.
They-
You're-
okay, but I have to explain to you why the breaker sucks because the breaker doesn't exist in this game. So I have to use obviously a
Okay,
different
okay,
game to
go
talk
ahead,
about
go
it, right?
ahead,
Are we not?
go
Are we not talking about breaker?
Go ahead.
Okay, so again, breaker wasn't good in MKX because you're playing a character against Melina and you have to get in on her. She usually gets to break way more than you in a round. You finally get in, you call her out neutral. Imagine playing a Melina player, who's by the way is like top 3 bullshit characters in that game. You call her out in neutral, you block her ball roll, finally you get to do something. Nope, she breakers, you go back into neutral where she dominates you. How is that good
Okay, let me
mechanic?
ask you
How is that a
this.
good mechanic?
How
Explain.
does a breaker, how would that be bad in this game?
Let me tell you, okay, replace Melina with Cetrion. You're playing against Cetrion, you're trying to get in, it's so hard to get your turn. You finally get in, you get a hit, you land on jumping, she instantly breaks, back in neutral. Now you get back to getting dominated. You can't build meter. She's keeping you out. Her breaker comes back, she does it again. How is that good? If this game had the breaker mechanic, it would be imbalanced like the way some of you are talking
Okay,
the game is currently
I see
balanced. It
your
would be
point.
very messed up.
would
They would have to
put you
rebalance-
back in the
Dude,
Okay, I
Cetrion
see-
would
I
be
see-
so
I see your
broken.
point.
Hold on. I'm not done though. She would be so. They would have to rebalance the game from the ground up, tweak so many of the moves, nerf so much of the meter gain, nerf so many moves frame data just for breakers to come back. That's how oppressive that would be for some characters in this game.
Okay. How
You're
about
like
this?
Kotal Khan. Like, do you really want Kotal to be breaking and going right back
Imagine
to the place
finally
where he
blocking
loves to
something
be in
unsafe and
neutral?
punishing them, and
Okay,
you
well,
can't do
that's
that because they
interesting
instantly
because
break.
how about this? How about I hit somebody and I'm like, oh shit, the Cetrion's gonna break away. I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna catch this bitch with an anti-breakaway situation and stay safe. Guess what? She doesn't spend any bar. I uppercut her, and now I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. She's got all her resources. Let me back away because I don't want to get caught in some shit on wake up. And she gets the fuck up anyway.
God bless Tom Brady.
No, that's not the
God
same.
bless
That's not the
Tom
same.
Brady.
That's
Like,
What's
completely
the
false. That's
difference?
not the same. That's
What's
not.
the
This is
difference?
the difference.
There's
This is
literally
the
no
difference. Let me speak.
difference.
At
This
least I
is
get
the
to take her
difference.
bar
This
the other way.
This is the
What's the
difference.
difference?
This is the difference. This is the difference. This is the difference. You get in, they have breakaway, you get literally 20% or more of their life. With breaker, you get nothing. You get no
And if I
damage
go
and you
to
go back
stay
to
on
neutral.
top of her, I lose. What?
It doesn't matter.
How much?
You got damage. You got something out of
Then I
it.
have
At
to
least
let
you
her
got
get up. But then I
20%.
have to let her get up because now I'm a slave to the wake up system.
But with breaker, you have no chance to let her get up. With breakaway,
Point
you
is,
get damage
the
and
point is,
Oki. You get damage and
I
you
got
get
the
both.
bar. This way, I
Dude.
don't even get that.
You
I
get to
take
double
nothing.
dip. You get to Tom. You get to double dip. You get some damage and you get Oki after.
Well,
No,
to
you
be
don't
fair,
get. Yeah, good luck with
With
the
breaker, you don't get Oki or damage. You get
Good luck
nothing.
with
You
the
get
Oki.
absolutely
Good luck
nothing.
with the Oki.
this isn't a good comparison because the meter in MKX is totally different than MK11.
Of course.
There's two
I
different
agree,
ones.
but that's why I'm thinking of breaker with this game's meter. How fucked would that
Well,
be?
I think they would change things for that.
I mean,
That's my point. Breaker is
it
so
doesn't have to be
bullshit
break,
as a
it doesn't have
mechanic.
to be break.
They would have to. Breaker is so bullshit as a mechanic. They would literally have to change the game from the
It
ground
doesn't
up just
have-
to
it
introduce
doesn't
that
have to be
mechanic.
breaker. But the main problem comes in the fact.
Okay, the only reason I'm mentioning breaker because you guys brought that up as an example as to what was better, which I disagreed with.
The main problem.
You guys think something else is better? Then we can talk about that.
Dave just literally told you about a situation in which the Kotal Khan player did a combo, and he was locked into the animation of the special. The dude breaks away, and the fucking special is still happening. He gets full comboed for it.
Okay, and what about every other situation where Scorpion will do 4-3-2 and you hold up, get hit by 4-3-2, and then he's stuck doing his chain and you get up in combo? Is that not an issue also?
That is an issue.
Yeah, of course, all of those things are issues. Who's denying that?
So here's the
So
hot
it's
take.
not breakaway then. It's a specific thing. That's what you agree with. It's a little specific thing on one character that should get addressed, not the actual
No,
breakaway
all I'm
system.
saying is
It's not the breakaway system that sucks.
all I'm saying is I'm surprised that they took so much care in meter has to be universal, wake up system has to be universal, making sure that no one really has an edge in all these areas. And then, like I said, the breakaway system, they're like, yeah, you can do whatever the fuck you want. You can do whatever the fuck you want. You're okay because you at least have a good armor break in these situations. You're fucked. You're fucked. Enjoy your 5%. I mean, like, it's so imbalanced compared to how they implemented everything else. That's all that I'm saying.
I think for this game, the breakaway system is mostly fine. I think that they did a good job implementing it. I think every character
That's
has a
not
way to get
true.
around it. Sure,
Because
there's
if they
probably
did the wake up system the exact same way they did the breakaway system, you would be saying, "Oh, some characters can never get up." Some imagine the wake up system was exactly the same way the breakaway system is, and it was like, "You're fucked. You're fucked. You'll never get up, huh? You don't get knocked down because you might as well hold forward on the controller for the rest of the fucking match. But you get to get up. You get to get up. You get to get up." They would cause a fucking riot. You would be on here right now, goddamn rioting over the wake up system not being fair. The breakaway system, though, you're like, "Well,
riding. What? I'm not the one riding. You guys are the
I'm
one
not
riding
writing.
about
I'm
breakaway
just saying
being
it's
suck.
not
I wouldn't be
against
writing
the
about
opinion.
anything.
The exact argument you make for the wake up system, if it wasn't universal, you could
Look,
apply
this
to the
whole I'm not
breakaway.
going to argue about what ifs. You really want to argue about what ifs? I'm here to argue about the game the way it is. If you want to talk about the game the way it is,
Like,
you guys want to bring up what ifs? What
I'm
if
just
this
saying,
was
your
changed?
exact
What if
argument.
Sonya was the best? What if Shao Kahn was top tier? Would
Alright.
people cry? I'm not here to argue about what ifs.
Tom, he defended the old wake up system. There's nothing to argue here anymore. It's over. Look,
Dave, wait, hold
over.
on. Since you want to blow me up about that, you defended the pre-patch vanilla anti-system.
Anti-air.
You said anti-airs, day one in the game
I
were
am-
fine.
I use katana.
And
What's wrong
since
with that?
then,
I use
since
katana,
day
yes.
one
I
vanilla
was-
of
and I even
since day
admitted-
you weren't playing katana back then. Stop lying, Jesus, holy crap!
I was
I have
not
video
playing katana
footage of you in vanilla MK11. You were playing Aaron Black, Noob, Scorpion. You were not playing katana. Stop lying about that. so sick of these lies
I
you're saying on this
let
podcast.
me give people the real.
Anyway, you defended the vanilla version of anti-airs, and then the anti-airs have literally been buffed 5 times
Yeah, the
over and
anti-airs are
nerfed
pretty
constantly
good,
since
pretty
day one.
garbage,
So if you want to blow anybody up, why don't you look at yourself in the mirror and see what the hilarious things you said in the past about this game and other games?
Kitana has always had one of the best anti-heroes. The uppercut is very strong, down 3 super strong. And again, as far as like the real blow up, which I will apologize for, is I didn't understand when I used her. I didn't understand how much the other characters suffered.
I'm not sure why you mentioned Katana, because I said you made this claim during when you weren't playing Katana. This was when you were
let me
playing, you were
finish
maining
before
Aaron,
your
Noob, and Scorpion
propaganda
during that time.
starts again. I apologize to all the people listening. When I was using Kitana, it was literally all grounded combos. They wake up, I do meaty razors, covers pretty much everything. There's nothing to worry about. They except if they do up 3 or if they back roll. Everything else is they jump dead, up 2 dead, wake up buttons dead. Plus 15, I get my free throw 50-50 mix up. So yes, I was ignorant. I admit that. I admitted that many times, many times ago. But doesn't excuse what the other characters are going through because I've used Rain, I've used some of the other characters, and yes, I was ignorant, and I do. That's why when I play the game right now, I use a character who doesn't have to deal with that stuff because I'm smart. I'm not going to use a character who has to deal with all the stuff because those characters to me are
Well, it's
weak.
very conflicting for the people listening because they're like, wait, you're saying Kodokan's good against Breakaway, but then earlier he was mentioned as one of the top 3 reasons why
Not-
listen. I mean, I'm just gonna say this out loud, and if
I
you
just
don't-
feel like this is all
if
over
you
the
don't
place,
think-
man. It's
if you
very
don't think
disorganized.
Hearing this sounds dumb, then there's really no argument, and we just have to say to each their own.
Yeah, we do.
You're the Kodokan player. The strategy is, you know what? He's got the cat, but I'm close to the corner. I'm gonna zone this bitch all day. Kodokan player's like, fuck, he's zoning me. I got this cat just to stop him from zoning. But oh shit, he's got this defensive bar. If I cat him, he's gonna break away and combo me because I hit him.
So if Kodo does cat from full screen and hits you all the way to the other side, you can break away and punish him
Yes.
from full screen away?
Yes.
Dave, are we sure about this?
Tom,
I thought it was
near
up
the
close
corner,
only with
yes.
the multiple hits.
No, Tom, that's not true because the second hit will whiff, so the cat will hit. It only works about half.
Near the corner though. They have
No,
to be
no, no,
near
but
the
he
corner.
has to. No, he has
Be about
to.
half screen, yes.
Yes, remember the first hit of the cat has to hit. He can't.
Yeah, the second has to whip,
screen-
yeah.
Yeah, the cat.
About half screen,
First-
yeah.
exactly.
But I never said full screen. I'm saying they're near the
You
corner.
said full screen. That's why
They're
I'm
near the
correcting you.
corner. It's right about near. It's not quite. It's more than half, but not quite 3/4.
Well, guess what? Unfortunately, the Kodokan players I play against, they're not stupid to do that. You know what they do? They block my projectile from half screen, then they hit me in the face 4-2-4.
But that's not guaranteed. The
All
cat
right,
was
Doesn't seem like a
here's the
huge
hot-
issue for
here's the hot
breakaway.
Let's give Crimson.
Here's a hot take: none of this matters. The reason it doesn't matter is they're not taking Breakaway out of the game. So
Yeah.
Oh, I don't
I
want
think
them to
it's-
take it out.
no, wait. I think it's way more productive to just say what you would change. And as far as I can see, there are 3 things. One is
Mandatory delayed wake up.
One is possibly making the recovery longer when you break away. Right, that's something that people seem to have been clamoring for since early on. Right, they think you get up way too fast, which allows you to punish a lot of things that you otherwise wouldn't be able to if you were slower getting off the ground after you broke. The other thing is dealing with characters that maybe have high unbreakable damage that might not need it. I said last podcast, I think someone like Jackie probably doesn't need as much as she has in unbreakable damage.
No
right?
nerf, I say.
You could increase the scaling, say, on Bionic Bounce, and she'd still be good, she'd still be fine. Maybe she doesn't need to do 40%. And then the third thing is, in specific cases, adjusting properties of certain moves or combos so that people cannot break away at certain points. Which is something they've already done in the past. It's something they clearly have the capability to do. So I think it's way more productive to talk about what they could do than just saying, hey, I hate breakaway, it sucks. You know?
Yeah,
So-
I would prefer to reality just more recovery as they're getting up off breakaway.
Well, Cowboy, we're about half. We're about an hour and a half, and we're gonna give you the last word. Anything you
Okay.
want to mention? We're putting you on the spot, my friend. I'm sorry.
Uh-oh.
For the better or
Um,
for the worse, anything you want to mention before we wrap it up about the Oki system, breaker system, Shang Tsung? Even though we're kind of begging you not to.
You really? Damn.
No, I'm just playing. Anything you want to finish up with any rant that you like? Go ahead, please.
I should have continued banning Cedrion. There you go.
All right. With that said, we appreciate you guys for listening. I want to thank my co-hosts, Crimson, Rio, Tom Brady, and our returning guest. And in my opinion, the best Shang Tsung of all time. It's my
Thank
opinion,
you.
guys. Best Shanks of all time, one of the best zoning players of all time. WoundCowboy. Oh my
Wow,
god,
dude.
I
Dude,
apologize.
I can't
Oh
deal
my
with this, man.
Dude,
oh
come
my
on,
god.
man.
Oh my god.
Dave is obviously
That's a
trolling.
blow.
Look, that's a Wild Cowboy.
How does this happen?
Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you to everybody else for listening. Please leave your comments below, and we will consider them for the next podcast. Please have a great new year. We wish you nothing but the best, okay? For all of every single one of you who are listening. And we will see you in the next episode of the podcast. Thank you so much.
Happy New Year.